If your vintage items aren't selling, it usually isn't because they're bad, and it's rarely because the market is saturated. Most of the time, it's because something small is blocking the buyer from clicking or committing. And today, I want to walk you through 3 of those blocks and how to fix them. Now, these are things that I have had to fix in my own shop very recently. I'm always learning and refining. I never want to get to the point where I think or say, I've made it. Now I know how to do everything right. That would absolutely spell disaster for my shop. Because I would quit learning. I would quit trying to do things in a better way, and I never want to get to that point. Hi, I'm Carol, and here on this channel, I share what it really looks like to sell vintage on Etsy, what's working, what needs adjusting, and how to build a shop that feels intentional instead of overwhelming. I want to start by saying this out loud because I know how discouraging it can feel when things just aren't moving. Having items that aren't selling does not always mean that you chose poorly. Let's be real, sometimes it does mean you chose poorly, but not always. It doesn't always mean that your eye is off. And it definitely doesn't mean that you need to run out and source more inventory. This video isn't about chasing trends or reinventing your shop. These are visibility and clarity fixes, small adjustments that remove friction for buyers. Think of these less as changing your shop and more as clearing the path. And the good news is, these are quick fixes. Not big projects like batching 20 listings in a day. That was huge, and I'm still trying to get over it. But it can be done. Today, these are things that you can address one listing at a time. This first one is very simple, but it makes a bigger difference than most sellers realize. Buyers can't always tell what an item is fast enough to want to click on it. Most Etsy shoppers are scrolling quickly, especially on their phones. And while styled lifestyle photos absolutely matter, I am starting to realize that sometimes they can make it harder to see the actual product at a glance. If someone can't tell what's for sale in about 1 second, they move on. This really clicked for me when I started intentionally scrolling through my own shop. Not as a seller, but as a customer, both on my phone and on my computer, but especially on my phone. What I noticed was some items looked great once you clicked into the listing, but on mobile, the thumbnail itself wasn't doing enough work. So instead of reshooting photos or giving up styling, I'm trying something much simpler. I've started just zooming in on the thumbnail. Let's take a look at this with an item from my actual shop. So here is how this vintage Satsuma Peacock trinket box was showing up on mobile. You can see that the trinket box itself is taking up maybe a little less than half of the whole field of the picture. And I just noticed that on a phone, it really was not big enough for someone to actually know what it was. So I went in and I adjusted the thumbnail. You can see on the left, that's what it looked like prior to me adjusting the thumbnail. And then all you do is just slide that slider bar over to make the item as big as you want. And you can adjust it up and down, side to side also. And then it also gives you an idea on the right of what that zoomed in photo is going to look like as a square, as a portrait, and as a landscape. So in the end, I feel like this zoomed in photo is going to show up much better on mobile than the one on the left. Now, that lifestyle photo still shows up as my first photo if someone opens up the listing, but the thumbnail that's going to catch their eye on mobile is on the right, and I think this was a right decision. I actually went through my entire shop and I zoomed in on items that I felt like were not showing up well enough on my phone. It's not been long enough for me to be able to tell you if it's made any difference, but it's definitely made a difference when I look at my shop on my phone. Doing this change to your thumbnail makes no change in your first photo. It also does not affect the SEO or the traction that item has already made in your shop. So it's a really safe adjustment to make, and you can go back and adjust it as many times as you need to. The styled first photo stays. The story stays. Nothing about the listing changes except the tiny image that buyers see while they're scrolling. By zooming the thumbnail so the product itself is unmistakable on mobile, the item becomes instantly clear. One thing I'm recommending is doing this at least once a week. Scroll through your entire shop the way a buyer would on your phone and on your computer. Look for thumbnails where you have to pause or squint or already know what the item is to understand it. If you're scrolling on mobile and you have to guess, that is your cue. You don't have to stop styling. You don't have to remove the story. You're just making sure the product jumps off the screen enough to earn the click. Lead with clarity, then let the styling do its job. Once a buyer knows what the item is, the next question is whether it feels safe to commit. The second reason that vintage items don't sell is buyer hesitation. When buyers feel unsure, they don't usually message you for clarification. They leave. The most common questions buyers silently ask are, how big is it? What condition is it really in? And am I misunderstanding what's included? Hesitation often comes from missing scale references, condition information that's just buried too deep in the description, or having to scroll too far before confidence is built. One easy habit I recommend is keeping a ruler near where you photograph and always taking at least one photo that shows height, one that shows width, and if applicable, one that shows the depth. If something about an item is make or break, put it early. If a condition issue could change someone's decision, it belongs either at the end of the title or in the very first sentence of the description. Many buyers are perfectly happy with imperfect vintage, but no buyer is happy when something arrives with wear that they weren't expecting. For example, if you have a beautiful ceramic teapot with a handle that was broken and expertly repaired, put that right in the title. Vintage floral ceramic teapot, expertly repaired. That way the buyer knows immediately whether it's something that they want to consider. And if you can't stay positive about an imperfection, like if it bothers you every single time you look at it or think about it, that might be a sign that it's something you probably should not list. I recently sourced a silver plate tea service, teapot, creamer, and sugar with extreme patina. In fact, I believe most of the silver plating is just gone and it's the base metal that remains. But I found it beautiful and kind of charming. I knew someone who loves that aged old world look would love it too. So I listed it honestly with the title, Vintage Old World Silver Plate Tea Service, Heavy Patina. And the description is very upfront about the condition because clarity builds trust. When buyers hesitate, they don't ask questions, they just leave. And even when buyers feel confident, there's one more thing that can quietly stop a sale. The third reason vintage items don't sell is that the value isn't obvious, especially at first glance. Now, the price might be fair, the item might be lovely, but if the value isn't explained, buyers struggle to justify the purchase. The history of the item alone doesn't always convert into sales. Buyers need help understanding why this piece matters and how it fits into their life now. Here is a lovely vintage imperial glass candlewick tray that I have in my shop. Now you can see on the left, I could have presented this item this way. Originally designed in 1948, the vintage imperial glass candlewick lemon serving plate features the classic beaded edge and looped handle that made the candlewick pattern a mid-century favorite. Traditionally used to present lemon wedges or small accompaniments at the table, its clear pressed glass design reflects the elegance and craftsmanship of the era while remaining timeless in form and function. And that is a totally accurate description of this lovely little dish. But you know what? People don't have those really formal tables like they used to have. So just like in my video where I talked about giving a new purpose to a silver plate tray, that's what I did with this item also. So now I've got a styled photo that shows this on a vanity being used to lay jewelry upon. Originally designed as a lemon serving plate in 1948, this vintage imperial glass candlewick dish has found new life as an elegant jewelry and vanity tray. And then I just go on to describe it. But in today's market, I really feel like a lovely tray to put on your dresser or on your bathroom counter to put jewelry in is probably going to sell more quickly than a plate designed to serve lemon wedges on. Now, doing this doesn't require a long description. Often it's just one sentence that answers one of these questions. Why does this item matter? How could this be used or styled today? And what makes it worth choosing? That might be a practical use, a styling idea, or a quiet note about craftsmanship or character without overselling. You're not convincing someone to buy, you're helping them understand why they would love it. So, if your vintage items aren't selling, here's what you probably should check. Clarity. Can buyers tell what it is immediately? Confidence. Does the listing feel safe and transparent? And value. Is it clear why this piece is special? And the best part is, none of these require new inventory. None require new equipment. None require starting over. If something isn't selling, it doesn't mean you failed. It usually just means that the item needs a clearer introduction. And if you want to take action today, I'd suggest choosing one stalled listing. Fix one thing, that's it. No pressure, no overhaul. Sometimes one small adjustment is all it takes to get an item moving again. Thanks for being here today.